Well, good morning. I'm up here back at Peters Mountain, the old fire tower with Jimmy Staffey and Randy Neal, and we're going to go down. We've been exploring these ridges out there. We're going to go down and find Billy Kidd's old home place. Several weeks ago we found Ike, and now going to go down and find Billy. Well, if you ever want to see a toilet from back 60 years ago, here you go. Well, we found the original old road over the point from the tower, and it is rough. Of course, nothing's been down through here in about 100 years, probably. Typically what happens, I don't know why, but you hit these old roads from the main roads, they're rough, but then you get on back and they open up. Hopefully that'll be the case. Old mountain saying is that the buttercups always get snow on them, and pretty much holds true every year. Hard to imagine folks walking up through here, riding horses, whatnot. Well, we got out of the bad stuff. Now it's opened up into open woods, so we'll call this the Billy Kidd Road since the other one's the Ike Kidd. One of a million rock houses up here. This is pretty remote. Been dug out ages ago. You can always tell by the mound of dirt in front of them. Another ginormous, we turned off the road and we're heading down to the farm. This just looks perfect for a moonshine still. Alrighty, we're at the mouth of Dry Creek and I'm going to follow it down to the old home. Small column arch right up above Dry Creek. We're going to name it the Staffey Special. Well, we're almost here. We're on a flat and gonna be looking for two old chimneys. See something interesting over here. Nah, just a stump. Thought it might be a marker of some kind. People come in 100 years later and thinking, my goodness, people lived in these remote places, but in reality they weren't. People all up and down through here. Hundreds over the hill towards no business. And you think about these places, sheltered from storm, windy weather, and also got water. First big pile of stones. And we're approaching the location of the home. Again, we parked at the fire tower, Peters Mountain, and then walked the remnants of an old road, turned over the hill following an old 1950 something map. And we made it. Only stuff we found is this piece of metal right here.
It may be a piece of a cooking stove.
Foundation stones. Man. First fireplace. Fireplace number 2.
My business was 2 stacks like this down there in it. And I got an old picture of it somewhere.
Okay, the mystery was this a fairly large home with a fireplace on each end, but one faces one way, one the other, which still could have been okay. Or was it 2 smaller separate structures side by side? Back of the second fireplace. This is pretty remarkable that this much still standing, but man, you look at the size of those rocks, they're not going anywhere. And like I said, if it was a double fireplace, it was a pretty decent home for back in the day. I look up information, I find a William Kidd buried in the Kidd Cemetery on up the road. William Billy. Of course, this is the Billy Kidd place, so. But also down below this is a really old cemetery, which I'm beginning to think it got the name because it was near the Billy Kidd farm and home place. We'll try to find it in just a second. But the reason I think it's 2 separate buildings side by side is all the stones that come out over the hill here.
And that one being the main, of course, they could still burn stuff in this.
But it could have been like a what they call those old dog run type homes where they had a little hallway between them, maybe kitchen in one area. Hard to say. Randy's standing by one chimney and here's the other one. Really hard to say. If it was one home, it was an L-shaped home with one on one side, one on the other. Very fascinating. This is out in the middle of nowhere. We did find a piece of orange tape. Somebody's been here sometime or another. You can kind of see how they built up this one edge with stone, where the one structure would have come out to right about in here. regardless, this is pretty good stuff for a place we deem out in the middle of nowhere. But reality was, again, the road over the hill will take you right down into no business and hundreds of people. Alrighty guys, got back from my trip at Big South Fork. Started out snow on the ground, finished with mid 40ish, all the snow gone. Great trip. We went up Divide Road into Kentucky, parked at Peters Mountain, the old remnants of the fire tower. There is a really old road that kind of goes in behind where the restrooms are. It's very, very overgrown. Had to fight through a lot of thickets and briars, rhododendron, and walk that old road out until you'll see a gap on the right. Go down the gap to Dry Branch, the creek. You'll see a green patch of land, and then there's two remnants of two fire towers, two chimneys, and I think that it was one of the styles they used back then, an L shape with one chimney on one end, one on the other, and this would have been the Billy Kidd property farm. Looking at old maps, you see that plat of land was owned by H.P. Kidd, which would have been his father. And the old cemetery that we haven't found yet, 8 or 9 small unmarked stones, H.P.'s wife was one of the people buried there. So of course, you know, that means a return trip, but very, very interesting. Jimmy led us down over the hill. We found originally these structures showing up on a 1950s USGS map, and so that tells me they were in existence up until probably the late 50s. So great trip, enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you later.